We have arrived at Bratislava, Slovakia. The language is the Slavic language and they spin the euro here. We're going to take the included tour with Viking, a walking tour around the city. We'll get oriented and then we have time to do our own thing, and we don't leave until late tonight. So we should find plenty of things to do and explore here in Bratislava. Here's where we've docked. Fortunately, again, I am right outside of the dock. We're docked right here in the city, and our balcony is facing the land side, which is wonderful because sometimes you have to dock right beside another ship. So we do have the view right now of the city. We will go up that ramp to make our way to the tour location, meet our tour operator, and go from there. We came up from the port to the land side, and it's a beautiful city. I love this tree-lined walkway. Looks like a great place to take a stroll. Have no idea yet where we'll be going on this tour. Our guide is 44C, holding up her little lollipop. We have connected to our quiet box, so she'll be able to give us a tour. Looking forward to seeing what we're going to see. Every time we take a tour, we use this quiet box system. I've wrapped the lanyard around it because I prefer to just put it in my pocket rather than having it hanging around my neck. But the way you work the quiet box system, this button on the side right here is how you turn it on and off. You change the channel up or down here, and there's a little knob for controlling the volume on the top. You put the earpiece in here, and they do provide the earpiece for you. Our guide first told us about the history here in Slovakia and showed us the music hall. Beautiful music hall. These are the trams. Number 1 goes to the main train station. She said, be sure that you give priority to the tram because they get priority over the pedestrians. So you got to make sure that you do not get run over. Right across from the music hall is a local supermarket. I would have not known this to be a supermarket, but that'll be great because we want to take back some snacks to the ship or our own soft drinks because they only have Coke products. That's good to know. It's very close to the ship. These buildings right here used to be the fortified walls. Even the McDonald's building now. And there used to be fortified gates right there. Lots of nicely shaded places to sit, flowers and street lamps. What a beautiful spot. And that's the Philharmonic building. This is the theater. William Shakespeare's bust in the middle. We've got Mozart and Liszt and a couple of other musicians I'm not as familiar with. The Carlton Hotel is the oldest existing hotel here. It is actually in a building where the middle building was a dentist office, and at the very top is a bee. And the guy there always said he was a busy bee. On the left was a hotel, on the right was a hotel, and then the dental office. And now it is the Carlton Hotel, which is a Radisson. Our guide told us that if you want a really good ice cream shop, go around the corner of the yellow building to find that ice cream. Mr. Hviezdoslav was the one who made sure the Slovak language was considered an official language. This is the Academy of Fine Arts. And here in the plaza is a large chessboard. I don't know if anybody brings pieces or not, but it is pretty cool looking. We're going around beside this little barrier to our next stop. The Art of Gelato. Looks like a great place to stop. And on the opposite side, we have several embassies. Such a pretty square. They are experiencing a drought here in Bratislava, so this fountain does not have any water flowing at the moment, but it is definitely a famous fountain here. This is a statue of Hans Christian Andersen, and there's an Andersen ice cream store right behind it, of course. This monument is very interesting. It's religious in nature. On the far right is Saint Stephen, who is the king of Hungary, and he had lost his son who was the heir, and he's presenting his crown to Mary, asking for help to secure another heir who will rule his kingdom well. There is a monument to the Holocaust. At the top you can see a Star of David. The inscription reads, "Remember." And then behind it is the oldest Roman Catholic church here in Slovakia. Right, we're on a pedestrian walkway, but we were told to move aside because there is a car from the embassy coming through. This building was visited by Mozart when he was 6 years old. He and his family stayed here for 2 weeks, and evidently the father was paid very well because he bought a nice coat when he left. Nice little piece of trivia from this city. Really pretty door. Our tour continues up the street. Very pretty buildings with shops and restaurants in them. And this building has a memorial plaque to Franz Liszt. And our guide told us that there was such a thing as Liszt Mania. You've heard of Beatlemania? Well, he was the beginning of Liszt Mania, a very, very famous piano player, composer. And when he would have concerts, the women would faint and swoon. People would take his things. They would go to the room where he was changing afterward to try to get him. People have been drama queens for a long time. The guide also told us that an ATM like this one, they are connected to the bank, so they are going to be safe to use. You won't be getting large currency exchange charges. She also showed us ATMs that you should not use, like ones that are advertised from a store. The Euronet is going to charge you a large commission for using their ATMs. It's inside the store, which you would think would make it safe, but it makes it easier for someone to steal from you. We saw the Culture Center here. And up ahead, so it's about 100 stairs to climb up to the top of that tower, but it's got a beautiful view. She showed us the oldest shop in town for Slovak delicacies, and the fresco that was painted on here that you can still see a good bit of. 56% of the city is Roman Catholic, 6% about Protestant. Only 450 Jewish people in Bratislava, about 3,500 in all of the country. We spilled out into this beautiful square, had a chance to sit in the shade for a bit while she told us some of the history, and we're going to go through this archway. They had some regulations which are shown on the walls of the arch. On the left is the size of the weapon that was allowed in, weapons that would be confiscated. We've got the measurements for textiles. Look at these gorgeous wooden doors and the beautiful stone archway. This is an area where they kept a woman who was accused of witchcraft. Witchcraft was a big thing that they executed their witches and wizards, just like we had in Salem, Massachusetts. Across the way is the Old Town exhibition of the city history, which has some torture devices on display. And she told us that we can go in that museum and for a small fee get to go up to the top where you can have some really good views of the city. This passageway was built in 1911. We're going through it. Led us out to another courtyard. We're going to stand in the shade there and see what's across the way. The city bought this palace in 1903 and it became the City Hall. What a gorgeous City Hall. This was a place that they punished the cheaters. Most of the cheaters were the bakers who either used poor quality flour or did not give you the correct measurement. So if they were caught, they would be lowered here into a well, which was okay in June, but not so good in January or February. Usually kept in there for an hour, not completely immersed, but it was enough to get the point across. And in one of the museums is a list of all of the cheaters, and no name was listed more than once. Going down another little street. Slovakia shares a small border with Ukraine, and right after the war started, they accepted many refugees. Some of them have now opened businesses here in Slovakia. This is one of them. And our tour continues. We're heading back toward the river. Still have a little bit more time, but not much more time on our tour. We saw this fun statue down here. The tradition goes if you rub his nose, you'll be pregnant within a year. I am not touching that nose. What a beautiful day in Bratislava, Slovakia. Somebody's partying across the river today, but it was so nice in the city. If you look, you can tell exactly where we were. We docked right here, walked up the little ramp, and directly into the city itself. An easy town to explore. You see a little tourist train going by. There were taxis and Bolts and Ubers. So you could go anywhere you wanted, but our walking tour took us all around the city. Saw many things. It was a great day. One thing that really impressed me was how clean the city is. There were garbage cans that they were taking care of frequently throughout the day. It was nice to see such a clean city. People are proud of their city here. Our tour ended, and I noticed that I walked 5,080 steps at this point, but I wasn't finished exploring yet. We walked by this noodle shop with some very clever advertising out front. I purchased a postcard at the I Heart Bratislava store and a flag of Slovakia and went on search for the post office. So GPS told us to go back through Michael's Gate, and I noticed a sign here for the public restroom, and that's always good to find. This post office is beautiful. Look at the gorgeous ceiling. I noticed someone walking up to a kiosk, so I did the same thing and found out to select English and that I wanted to purchase postage. The machine spit out a ticket, PO56. So I waited for PO56 to post up on the board, and it directed me to the correct window when it was my turn to be helped. I rested and hung out with Napoleon a few minutes, and then we stopped at Arthur Gelato for a scoop. The Lindt chocolate looked like a really good choice, and I can confirm that it really hit the spot for this chocolate lover. We decided to head back to the ship. Lots of good signage in Bratislava for English-speaking tourists. The guest services desk on board always gives a map, and this was a great one. We were docked right down in here. All the little markers here for the famous sites, and on the back of the map It had 3 columns, and this middle one happened to be in English explaining the different sites. So really you could take a map and explore completely on your own. In fact, we had friends who went up to the castle, said it was very walkable to get there. So that's a good option should you wish to do that. And taxis and Ubers were accessible. So if you wanted to go to any of those sites that were a little further than you wanted to walk on the map, I think you could do it without any trouble. And our time in port would have offered plenty of time to have had an early dinner out in the city if we had preferred to do that rather than coming back on board for dinner. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.